This is the CarterCast, the pre-engagement show for dating couples designed to make engagement ring shopping easy, understandable, and fun. You can get the 4 C's anywhere, but only here. And you get the 5th C, called Carter. I'm Josh, and this is CGA GG, current president of the AGS, and Jack Lewis Jewelers CEO, John Carter.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Today, we're talking about our favorite topic, should you buy a diamond online? Because nothing says I love you like free shipping. This should be an interesting episode. I don't know much about the...
Why would this one be different than the last episodes?
It'd be better. Standards keep raising, I've been told.
All right.
I don't know much about the world of online diamond buying, so I'm looking forward to learning a lot from other people's blogs after this show goes nowhere. But first...
Thankfully, we've done internet research before we've had this conversation.
But first, let's pop the question. Where would you put an ornamental piece of Japanese jewelry known as Kanzashi? A, in your hair, B, on your belt, or C, on your high school letterman's jacket? Kanzashi. Kanzashi.
A, hair.
Let me check. Yes, tonight when you're dancing like a geisha, the Kanzashi goes in your hair. Well done. That is the correct answer. See, you get them right every once in a while.
I'm like 4 or 5. I think I've only missed one. Sounds like my school days. 80%.
Your high school letterman's jacket day.
No, I didn't have one of those.
John Carter, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the internet exists. In fact,
I've heard of it.
We're on it right now. And not just for memes and fantasy football. Turns out you can buy things on the internet, like clothes.
I'm a fantasy football champion.
Are you really?
2 times.
Congratulations.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row?
Yeah.
In one of your 7 leagues that you're probably in, like everyone?
I'm in 3 leagues.
So it just dilutes.
The only one I've ever won, and I won it 2 years in a row.
You know, I think if they had pins for fantasy football in high school,
I would have a Letterman
on your Letterman's jacket.
Letterman jacket.
That's how you would get the pin for Letterman's jacket.
As a friend of mine says, fantasy football is the Dungeons and Dragons of sports. I find that to be true.
Other things you can buy on the internet include an acre of land on the moon.
What?
Yes.
How did I not know this?
You can, I know. It's the Sea of Tranquility, I believe, is where you can buy some land. Haunted rubber duckies and Justin Timberlake's half-eaten toast.
Oh.
And diamonds.
I'd be interested in that toast thing.
It's pretty good. Yeah. So let's start here. In your experience, based on what you've heard, anecdotes, stories, rumors, lies, why might someone want to buy a diamond online instead of coming into a local jewelry store like this?
Why do we want to buy anything online, right? It's easy.
Yep.
I think, which might take a different tone than the viewers / listeners would think that I would take on this, I think that jewelry stores have made people want to buy a diamond on the internet.
You think it's your fault?
I think it is our fault as a trade.
Hot take.
Hot take.
It's a hot take. All right.
I do. I think that we've made jewelry stores scary. I think that we've made them uncomfortable to come into. I think that they don't trust us. Not us. Well, clearly they trust us. They're watching. But I think they don't trust jewelry stores because they think that they're going to walk in. The store is just going to tell them a bunch of gobbledygook that they don't understand.
Right.
And they don't care. They want you to spend as much as possible in as short of a time as possible. And here's financing. And you should do this and put yourself in debt for the next 10 years.
Yep.
It is not a car. Diamonds are, as my analogy is, diamonds are snowflakes. You can look at one diamond online and say, this is a 2-carat GVS2, and I found another 2-carat GVS2, but they're very different.
Yeah.
And how are they different? Well, they're different in the 30 other ways that we look at diamonds. Yeah. And so that confuses people. So I think that human nature is that we just want to break it down to the 3 or 4 things that we're going to wrap our hands around and feel like we've done a good thing.
Yeah.
And having said all this too, I want to preface this whole talk with, I wouldn't judge anybody for buying a diamond online. I wouldn't. I've seen people that have made an okay purchase by buying a diamond online. I've more times than not seen people not necessarily get what they thought they were getting by purchasing it online.
Okay.
But I'm not here to say that that's definitively wrong,
Yeah.
but I would make the argument that it does make sense to go to a brick and mortar store, not even necessarily my store, just go into a properly credentialed jewelry store that can walk you through this purchase. So I want to throw that out before we even get too far into this. We're not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
We're just saying the reasons that we think would make sense to come to a jewelry store.
That's interesting for me to hear you say that you think some of it is the fault of classic.
I think it's all
jewelry
our
stores,
fault.
because we've talked about before. Usually when there's some kind of bad history of something, that smoke came from some sort of fire.
That's right.
Right? There's usually something to the legend. There's something to the tale. There's some reason why the diamond market online became a big thing.
Right.
And I think that's not just technology. It's also because people had a bad experience at some point in the past with a local store or something, or a mall or something in person, and they kind of opened up these other markets. So
it still
is
is
important to kind of admit.
The internet, believe it or not, still represents a very small percentage of diamonds that are purchased globally.
Do you know what is the
It's
balance?
like 5. It's less than 10%. It's between 5 and 10%. So call
Really?
it 7 or 8%.
Yeah.
And part of that is because we are in an industry, fortunately, I think, that somebody doesn't necessarily, because of what you said earlier, nothing says romance like free shipping. I think that people, and again, that's not wrong if somebody decided to do that, but I do think there's a certain element of people understand what they're doing here is bigger than just buying a luxury good.
Right.
You are buying something that represents eternity to give to the person that you love the most in the world, as we've talked about before.
Yep.
And for the most part, most people still want to have that conversation and develop a relationship with the person that sold that to them, so they can trust, they can feel good about what it is that they bought, rather than I bought this from an obscure website online and didn't truly know who I just sent thousands of dollars to.
So the people, though, who would push back against that, though, some of the arguments that I found that I just wanted to, and actually we haven't talked about this, so I don't know if you're going to agree with these or not, but these are the objections I found to some of these things. So I want to see what you think. That people will say, you should buy a diamond online because it's cheaper. Here's something I kept reading during the prep. Because of the way diamonds are sold and distributed, diamonds are less expensive when you buy them online. That's a quote that kind of quote I kept seeing come up a lot. So what do you think they mean by that when they write that kind of thing? And is it true? Are diamonds cheaper online when you buy them?
They can be.
Okay.
But I've been doing this for 25 plus years, right? And so the internet has always, not the whole time, but the internet for 23 or 24 of those years has played some role in my career.
Right.
And a store like ours, which is really founded on loose diamonds and engagement rings, would not still be in business if we weren't price competitive with what people can buy online. People aren't stupid. They will, nobody wants to spend more than they have to.
Right.
So while you could find, back to the 2-carat GVS2 example, right? You could find one 2-carat GVS2 and this 2-carat GVS2, and they can both be very different prices. I'll tell you one thing that I did a few years ago was I went on one of the major internet sites and I found 3 1-carat HSI1 diamonds.
Okay.
They were dramatically different prices. One was as low as $4,500. The other one was as high as $7,500. All 3 of them, 1 carats.
Yeah.
All of them HSI ones.
Yep.
All of them with the same grading report from the same company.
Okay.
From the same grading laboratory.
Yeah.
I black out the prices, and I first went to my staff.
Yeah.
And said, which of these is the least expensive? And we had a nice discussion as a team. And it was interesting.
It's a cool training sort of thing.
It was a cool training thing. And it was interesting to me, the number of people on my team who do this every day might not have really known or understood what is the least expensive diamond and why, what is the most expensive diamond and why, by looking at this list of numbers.
Yeah.
And so there was an interesting discussion between us. And so I imagine it's very confusing for a consumer who doesn't do it every day, right?
Sure.
Well, long story short with that exercise is we were able to pull out, because we can look at and know that carat, this is the most important telltale sign of this thing, because carat is a weight. It is not a size, as we've talked about before.
Yep.
And so diamonds can show their size very differently. So you can have a 1-carat diamond that measures 6.2 millimeters in diameter, and you can have a 1-carat diamond that measures 6.5 carats in diameter. The 6.5 is probably considered to be the ideal cut diamond, and the other one is not. There also can be this thing with diamond rough where one of my favorite things about Forever Mark diamonds is that they're using the best quality material rough. It's the most vibrant, most transparent rough, not color and clarity. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about how visually appealing the rough is. And a diamond can get really high marks, color, clarity, measurements can all be there and everything else, but the material can still be very hazy. And so you have a diamond that just doesn't have that same dazzle as one that does under your nose. It is my experience, with few exceptions to this rule in the last 20 some years, that every time I locate one of those diamonds online and I'm trying to compare it to something that somebody's looking at in the store, there is always a reason that diamond is online and not in a store in front of you.
That's a good way to say it.
And I don't know any other way to say it. I'm not saying that there can't be a bargain that is bought online. I guarantee some people watching this would take exception. I bought this and it was great. I'm sure that there are exceptions that prove the rule, but what I do is not rocket science.
You're not a scientist. I am
not a scientist.
I can vouch for that.
But it does take experience.
Yes.
It does take experience to be able to identify this diamond is prettier than this diamond, and this is why. And we can usually do that at a store like ours.
Yeah.
We can usually do that by sight. And that's the value of coming to a store like this. So can you buy a 2-carat GVS2 for cheaper online? Yes, with the caveat of they're never the same.
Okay. That's what I wondered, because as we talked about, previously, there's a lot that goes in a grading report besides just the 4 C's. There's a lot of just other aspects of a diamond that should matter when you select it. And so if all you're looking at are just a few of the characteristics and trying to compare apples to apples there, well, you're not really comparing apples to apples in the full sense.
You are never comparing apples to apples as it applies to diamonds. It is always apples to oranges or apples to cherries. It is never the same
because there's snowflakes, like you said.
Because there's snowflakes, unless you are
the whole fruit basket.
Unless you're specifically looking at the same diamond. You have a diamond that's listed on the internet and then it's also in the store that you're at.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can happen.
Yeah.
Then it's the same diamond.
Right.
But it's because it's the same diamond. It's literally the same diamond.
Okay, so it can be cheaper, but there's a reason why it would be cheaper.
Usually, in my experience, usually.
And that has, you would say that has more to do with something about the diamond itself rather than some of the behind the scenes back end stuff of how diamonds are bought and sold and distributed, which is the case that I think a lot of the online guys want to make.
Yeah, I mean, and
is that it's cheaper because there's less overhead or less employee or whatever you have to do. That's why it's cheaper. But you're saying, well, maybe, but there's also something about the diamond that's going to make it.
I think it also depends a little bit on the store that you're going to.
Okay.
In my store, we focus specifically on the cut grade of the diamonds. So we are eliminating the things that are really not well cut. I mean, we have a category of things that really don't fit into those other, the 2 higher end cut grade categories that we have. Those would compare very close to what you're going to find online, probably. They're also priced to the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody comes in and says, I've got to have an AGS 0 cut grade and it's got to be this and it's got to be that.
Right.
Good. I have those. And the websites that focus on those things that are doing the same thing but do it online, the prices are very similar.
Yeah. I would assume you check that from time to time just to see, and you would know.
Sort of stands to reason, right? Because yes, I'm a business. We want to make money on the items that we sell.
How dare you?
I know. It's a horrible
How
thing.
dare you want to feed your family?
I know, it's a horrible thing that we do. But you do still need to be very competitive.
Yeah.
Or you would not sell very many diamonds, and we do.
Right.
And I think most of my brick and mortar friends that focus on these things, it's the same thing. The internet is in our vision always, because we have to make sure that we're charging something that would be comparable. But if we're not, what I'm trying to reiterate is there's always a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. In addition to the price you pay, one of the other things I came up is that, they have a lifetime warranty or a solid return policy, 30 days money back guarantee, or
so do we.
No questions asked. Well, that's what I was getting at. If some online places want to sell that idea, I think the assumption is, from a customer's perspective, that maybe my local jewelry store doesn't do that.
Yeah.
To that, you would say?
Pretty much every store would do that. When you get into some customization,
sure.
if we take 2 months or the 3 weeks or whatever it is to custom build a ring for somebody, that probably isn't returnable because it was built around that particular diamond.
Sure.
But I can't think of a single instance in my time here where somebody bought something, wasn't pleased, and we didn't just immediately get them something they were pleased with.
Right.
You know, that's sort of the key to being in retail anymore.
Yes, that it is.
The internet did not invent the concept of return policies.
They did not. Like you said earlier, though, I mean, it's just somebody had a bad experience sometime they went to a store somewhere in some state when they bought their diamond, and they got a bad salesperson who gave them a bad experience, and that probably shapes you going forward, right? So, like you said earlier, there's some sins of the past in different local jewelry stores maybe that have kind of created this perception that local jewelry stores they're not friendly, they don't offer these return policies, they're always going to be more expensive. And so, I just thought it'd be helpful to have you talk about some of those things right off the bat.
And I think that those things are well deserved.
Well, yeah, right, exactly.
You know.
Yep.
The only thing that I can do is to make sure that we don't do that.
Right.
And similar.
One of the other things I found, the argument for buying online is a bigger selection online. A store only has a few diamonds. The internet has all the diamonds. All
the diamonds ever mined
all
in the history
diamonds
of the world.
That's right. So what would you say to someone who's influenced by the selection argument?
Well, generally speaking, most of the largest online diamond sellers, those diamonds hosted on their inventory online that you're seeing are not actually there.
Yeah.
It is a conglomeration of hundreds of wholesalers from around the world that have listed their inventory on that website. And while that company will make that diamond available for you, it does not mean that they're physically holding it in their inventory. Matter of fact, they own very little inventory.
In fact, that's some of what their business model is based on, is that they don't have it, and that's how they can kind of keep prices down, overhead down.
That's right. And so they're just the kind of go-between.
Yes.
Whereas in this store, first of all, as you know, particularly as it applies to round diamonds, if somebody comes in and asks for a round diamond, we're going to have a pretty nice assortment for what they have. Most of my retail friends would be reasonably similar.
Sure.
If you're getting into, I want to see a 3.5 carat cushion, or that might be something that we make a phone call, but generally speaking, that diamond is here the next day. And you're going over it in a store with a professional. We have the diamond shipped in, we check the diamond, and we're checking the diamond. We're making sure that it matches the grading report that goes with that diamond. And those things. We're utilizing our skill set that we've spent decades honing to make sure that you're making a right purchase, rather than just, I read a computer screen, they told me it was this and it was this much money.
Exactly.
Should not be about that.
Well, and also you could run into the menu's too large problem as well.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. Yeah. You go to a restaurant and the menu's 19 pages long. It's like, I don't know what I should order. There's 78 things on this menu, right? I think sometimes there's something to be said for having, okay, here's a selection of 24 diamonds. You're probably going to find the diamond that you want. And that means you really need 129 diamonds to look through. I mean,
maybe
it's this idea of like what really is convenience, and going at your own pace from the comfort of your own home. Like, it just seems like some of that's overplayed and overpitched.
And the other thing that the internet takes out of play for me is the most valuable exercise that I'll do with somebody at the counter is somebody comes in and we get it kind of, the process takes an hour or two or whatever it takes.
Right.
And you get it narrowed down, and you've got 3 diamonds that are kind of within the range of what they walked in thinking they wanted to see, maybe beyond, maybe below, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But to put 3 diamonds under somebody's nose and say, this one's $5,000, this one's $7,500, does that look like $2,500 to you?
Right.
Almost always, you and I have talked about this, almost always the answer is no.
Right.
And then well, then why would you spend $2,500 if you can't see it?
Yep.
You're not doing that on the internet. You're looking at a computer screen where it's magnified 200 times, looks much bigger than it actually is. It looks worse typically, sometimes, than it actually is. Sometimes it makes it look better. You're robbing yourself of that experience of having somebody that does this for a living that can walk you through and say, yeah, you know what? This one's $6,000 and it's a little bit more, but here's why I like it better. Or this one's less and I like it better.
Yeah.
And use your own eyes. Because at the end of the day, is the diamond beautiful to you?
But John Carter, what you said is that you could come and talk to someone who does this for a living. And that's a problem. I'm skeptical of people who are selling something to me.
People who do things for a living.
Correct. I'm skeptical. So one blog I found strongly advocates for shopping online. They wrote this.
Yeah.
We often receive emails from our readers who are hesitant to buy online, but we found that far more people get taken advantage of by going into a store than by purchasing online. Diamond buying is confusing, and no matter how much you try to learn beforehand, you'll still be facing off against a salesman who is more prepared and more incentivized to make sure you walk out of that store with a diamond on their terms. And the less desirable the diamond, the more incentive the owner has to sell it. Which item would you prefer to sell if you were a jeweler? The highly desirable, well-valued one that you can sell to anyone? Or would they rather sell you the less desirable diamond that is dead weight in their inventory box and on their cash flow sheet? So that's an actual quote from a pretty popular blog that kind of advocates for diamond buying. So it's this idea that you are going to face a pushy, slimy salesperson who is just looking to take advantage of you.
It might.
When you come into a jewelry store. What's your argument to that, or response to that, or reaction? And that's part of it, is they might.
Yeah. I'm sure that that could happen. You could take the extreme of any circumstance, and you could say that I had an interaction with a police officer that didn't treat me correctly. Therefore, all police officers must not be professional police officers. You could take that. You could apply it to teachers or financial advisors or lawyers. You could take any of that to an extreme and say you shouldn't do this because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, most people are reasonably intuitive when they meet somebody, and you can feel when something is being jammed down your throat against your own best interest. I want to highlight something that your blogger friend said. They said the less desirable diamonds would be in my best interest to sell that out of my box. What would make a diamond less desirable to you as a consumer?
To me as a consumer,
just looking at it.
Well, something that looked like it was priced way too much and wasn't pretty or beautiful or shining.
Correct. So a diamond that wasn't beautiful or shiny would be a less desirable diamond to you.
Yeah.
What would be my best interest, to put that diamond under your nose physically in a store, or would I hide that behind a computer screen online behind grading reports?
I see what you're getting at.
In theory, what I'm trying to say is that a less desirable diamond, once I've taken the 10 minutes to educate you on what you should be looking for in purchasing a diamond, is easier for me to hide on the internet than it is in person with you actually seeing it.
Right.
Because contrary to popular belief, you do not need to be a graduate gemologist or a certified gemological appraiser to look at a diamond next to another diamond and say, this one is a GVS2 and this one is not. Now, to assign a color and clarity grade, you do need to be a professional. You do need to understand that. But in terms of this one sparkles more than this one, that's just like having working eyesight. You know, that's all that is.
Right.
And that is much easier for me to be nefarious online than it is physically in person when I'm showing it next to superior diamonds, to use what they're saying. So I would take exception from that angle. But again, yes, you can walk into a store and feel like something is being jammed down your throat. Stores that are eagerly forcing financing options on you. Typically, like if that's one of the first 3 or 4 things you're talking about before you really get into looking at things, that tends to make me a little bit uncomfortable, because then it becomes very transactional rather than what's right for this person, what's relationship worthy for them to give to their future spouse to be. Those are things to watch out for.
In fairness to, and again, the way they phrased it was, I think, overly harsh and kind of ridiculous. But in fairness to that idea about going into a store and talking to a human, again, increasingly difficult for today's generation. But I get the idea of, you know, when I buy clothes online, I know what clothes are. I've bought clothes before. I have a sense it's a low stakes.
You know,
purchase.
You're a 40 regular.
Exactly, 42 regular. But
it's talking about me.
I know. But when I buy big items, like a car, like a diamond, again, these aren't the same type of item, but in terms of them being a big purchase that I don't know much about, maybe, they are in that same category. And so there's just that fear that I'm going to get taken advantage of. I'm going to get swindled by a salesperson who's looking to make a sale and who knows more than I do. and is going to exploit my ignorance and what I don't know. So there's just that fear that, I'll just look online. That way I won't have to worry about it. I go at my own pace. So I kind of get that feeling. And again,
isn't the internet looking to make a sale?
Apparently not. Apparently, well,
aren't you giving them money for something?
Salespeople aren't apparently pushy though on the internet, despite there's like chat stuff that comes up now these days. But yeah, I mean, I kind of get where that's coming from. I guess I just think that, like you said earlier, if you had an experience in the past like that, your mileage may vary. Like not all places are going to be the same, and don't let that poison you. And this is a big enough sort of purchase that I would hope you'd want to come and look at it in person,
right?
Given what it means, it's different than a car, like you said earlier. Along that same line, though, not because we're not trying to throw all the online sites under the bus. A couple of the bigger websites are James Allen and Blue Nile. What do you know about those websites? What do you think they do well? Like, let's try to talk about why this market exists and what maybe they do well and why you might actually choose that.
Well, I think whether it's those websites or not, the role that the internet plays in this is preliminary education.
Okay, yeah, sure.
They both do that very well.
Yes.
You can go on there and learn about the 4 C's and things like that. Now, you're not necessarily understanding how to practically apply those things.
Right.
I took accounting in college. I didn't really understand accounting until I became a business owner.
You are not an accountant nor a scientist.
I'm not an accountant. I'm still not particularly great at it, but I do understand how it applies now to actual real life.
Yes.
Right? It would be similar. You can go on there and you can get a basic education, so you're walking in, you're knowing what you're talking about a little bit with the 4 C's.
Yeah.
I typically will kind of go through the list again with somebody, even though they do have an understanding of it, because I kind of tell them what's important to me as I'm buying diamonds.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some tips for buying on color. Here's some tips for buying clarity. And we'll go through there. So to answer your question, I think they both do that pretty well.
Yeah.
I think James Allen in particular, their strength is the videos that they have of the diamonds. That's really
photos of almost all of them, I think.
Yeah, that's really their strength. They're probably the industry leader as far as that goes. Again, a video on your on your computer monitor does not give you a complete picture of that diamond, even though it's a video.
And it's almost
it might be a 4K video. It still doesn't tell you what that thing does under your nose.
What's interesting about that, though, is it's an admission on their part that they know you should be able to see this.
Well, and the other interesting thing is that these the online companies, the digital online, founded because buying a diamond online is a good idea, have brick and mortar stores now.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that.
Okay.
I know.
I'll just let that resonate.
Sometimes we'll say, do your research online, then come into a store and actually buy it. Do you ever sense that the reverse is true when it comes to this? That people
the Circuit City analogy?
Yeah, that some people will come here to see it first and then assume that it's going to be more expensive after they've kind of talked to a person about it to feel good about it, and then they go online and actually buy it. Do you think that happens?
I see it very rarely here.
Yeah.
It is always possible,
sure,
because we take the approach of we over-educate.
Yeah.
We make sure that I always want them to know more about diamonds sometimes when they leave than some of the temporary sales associates at some stores do, because they've just not been there very long.
Sure.
So I want this person to walk out of my store knowing a lot about that.
Right.
Can they also take that knowledge online and look? Yes, but because of the way that we do diamonds in this store, it's probably going to be very difficult for them to take that knowledge, go online, and then find something that's less expensive or a better value for what it is that they saw, because we're selling a very specific thing. We're selling AGS cut grade diamonds that are a superior cut or make to what they're going to find online. Right. And if they want to compare somewhat similar diamonds, then we can have that conversation, but it's still going to be priced very competitively. Again, if we weren't selling competitively, we would not be selling diamonds.
Right.
And competitively includes the internet.
Sure, yeah. Let's kind of pivot towards the end here. Big picture, how do you feel about it, buying diamonds online? Is this like a pet peeve of yours?
No.
It's something that you kind of wish wasn't there, to kind of disappoint you that so many people do it, or just how do you process the existence of this thing?
I've said in the past, man, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge where they buy it. I'm not here to judge how much they paid for it. I'm not here to judge if they want to buy a laboratory grown diamond.
Sure.
That is not my role. Again, as I've said, and I truly mean this, how they express their love for the person that they love is not wrong.
Right.
It's their choice. Mm-hmm. They worked hard for their money. They can choose to spend it with a store like mine. I personally believe it's important to shop local and spend money with a small business that's in your community, because that community donates to your kids' soccer team and to charity events for your hospitals and things like that.
Yeah.
And we haven't even really talked about that, because at the end of the day, I think that people do what's right for their own pocketbook as well.
Yeah.
But understanding that a business that's in your community is involved in your community, that's there when you need them, is important too. And that shouldn't go overlooked.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to judge or say that somebody made the wrong choice if they bought that diamond online, because there might be extenuating circumstances. Maybe they feel like they got exactly what they wanted and paid a lot less, and that's up to them.
You won't say that, but I will.
Okay.
No, the
judge away.
The question of this episode was, should you buy a diamond online? Not can you. Of course you can.
Right.
I mean, of course you can buy a diamond online. There's the sites these days are reputable enough. You're not going to get ripped off. You're not going to get ripped off at a local place either.
Yeah, they're probably not going to steal your credit card.
Exactly right. So yes, can you safely buy a diamond online in current year? Yes.
Yes.
But do you want to? I mean, really? I mean, do you really want to? I mean, this romantic symbol of eternal love, that you're going to give to the person that you love more than anything, and you're going to buy it from some faceless online warehouse because they have a lifetime warranty or a return policy?
It just depends how you look at diamonds, right? If you look at it as a commodity,
right,
then yes, it's fine. If you look at it as a deeper symbol of that, which I think that you and I both do.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't flex tape on an infomercial. It's not a commodity. This is important.
It's not printer. It's not ink for your printer.
It's not printering.
I get that, and that's why we are very privileged to do what we do, right? We sell something that has more meaning than the typical retail good. It also comes with additional complications. One of those is, do I buy it online, or do I want to go through the process of developing a relationship and experiencing the romance of buying it in store?
Yeah.
Locally, or at the jeweler of my choosing.
Right.
I feel those things are important, but again, it's hard for me.
You're right.
A 30,000-foot view, I can't do because I'm in it.
Well, and again, it's like you said, it's a difference between what are you valuing most? Are you valuing the experience, like having an experience, going diamond shopping with the person you love, or forming a relationship? Like, do you value that most, or are you just valuing comfort or convenience, or just what you can do on your couch, or thinking it's going to be cheaper? Like, where's your priority when you approach this topic of buying a diamond? Probably is going to influence your answer to this question.
And that is not something you and I can answer for
right.
everybody that watches.
I know.
That is my point, as your voice of reason in these conversations.
I know.
That is not something we can predetermine for them. We can just give them the reasons why we feel this is a fantastic choice. And the things that I say as advice isn't necessarily just reflective of Jack Lewis. It's finding, if you live in Florida, or if you live in California, or if you're in Washington State, find somebody there that can logically walk you through this process.
Yeah.
If you can't, call us. We can probably help give you a little bit of an education over the phone, and then you can take some of that to your local business and spend your money there.
Yeah.
Feel good about your community. Help establish a place that becomes a destination for others to visit your community.
Exactly.
Jewelry stores can be that. We are that. Mm-hmm. My friends are that own, important stores in their areas as well. It should be a jewel. See what I did? For your community. Yeah. Pun. That's my best pun so far.
It's good.
I think it's my only one.
It gets no better.
I'm not very punny.
You're not. We'll be right back with the Final Facet.
Visit us to view our signature collection of handmade diamond jewelry. Jack Lewis Jewelers. We know what this means. Real is rare. Real is a diamond.
So again, in summary, should you buy a diamond online? Cannot help you decide that. I can't help choose whether you buy it locally in a store or if you buy it digitally online. All I've tried to do today is give you the reasons why it's important to buy in a store that's properly credentialed. The most important reason, yes, websites have return policies. You can order 3 or 4 diamonds to the comfort of your home. You can look at those in person. But a true jewelry professional is going to be able to walk you through those 3 diamonds, show you which one is more beautiful, which at the end of the day is what matters. Not color, not clarity, not who graded it, not how much it is. does this diamond that's $2,000 less expensive look better than the diamond that's more expensive? That's what we're here to do, help you do it, because as we say at Jack Lewis, size doesn't matter, she matters.